When it comes to mental health, we are often told that we just need to think positively and find a happy thought. Well, that advice is simplistic at best, and it fails to consider bio-individuality and how we each respond to certain stimuli differently, whether that be food, psychological stress, and yes, the trillions of microorganisms that make up your gut microbiome. That's why in today's video, we're going to take a look at the 7 signs your gut is affecting your mental health and why scientists are referring to the gut as your second brain. As always, before we dive in, subscribe, make sure you grab a copy of my best-selling book Unstoppable, and if you didn't already know, look what we came out with only a couple of weeks ago. It is the Unstoppable Biohacking Journal, which is the only journal of its kind to help you measure your progress, uncover hidden triggers that dull your focus, and provide proven biohacking strategies to increase your productivity. There are 27 biohacking tips in this journal. It's a quick, easy daily planner to use. And I want to say huge thank you. We had over 6,000 orders within the first 10 days of publication. Australia, we haven't forgotten about you. We're trying to get more journals over to you as we speak. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you also grab your tickets to the Upgrade Lab's 7th annual Biohacking Conference for March of 2020, where yours truly will be speaking at a breakout session. Plus, other insane, incredible speakers will be speaking: Dave Asprey, Dr. Joseph McCullough, Jim Quick, and even Vashin Lakiani of Mind Valley, so make sure you check it out. Now, let's talk about gut and mental health. Well, did you know that scientists like Dr. Michael Gershon, professor of pathology and cell biology, and the father of neurogastroenterology, adamantly believe that we have a second brain in our gut? In fact, he states that there's a bidirectional communication between the gut and the brain. With over 100 million nerve cells that line our intestinal walls, it's really no wonder that when we disrupt the bacteria in this region with antibiotics, poor diet, and a toxic environment, it creates a neuropsychiatric effect influencing both our mood and our mental health. When I was researching my book Unstoppable, when I was suffering from depression, anxiety, fatigue, brain fog, and even intestinal distress, I couldn't quite put all the pieces together until I interviewed Richard Lynn, who's the CEO of the microbiome wellness company Thrive Inside. Richard's stories are very similar to mine, albeit he ended up in hospital with serious gut health issues. Thrive not just provide probiotics, but they also provide home test kits, in which you get a little test kit, you provide a rice-sized grain fecal sample, super sexy, I know, right? Then that gets sent off to their labs, and then they provide you with an online report that gives you a breakdown of how diverse the species of bacteria is in your gut, the balance of good versus bad bacteria, and how your gut microbiome compares with healthy individuals. I gotta say, I was pretty shocked when my results came back in because I was depleted in a bacterium called bacteroids. The latest research has shown patients with depression have fewer bacteroids in their gut. Thrive then gave me dietary recommendations to help reduce inflammation, as well as prescribe personalized probiotics to target this imbalance in my system. And within the first few days, I started noticing a significant difference, especially in my brain fog decreasing, as well as my energy increasing, which then inspired me to look even more into the psychobiotic revolution, which is where they combine probiotics to affect our psychology, which has really led me down this rabbit hole, which is why I love talking about gut health. Probiotics are really the next revolution in healthcare. By initiating healthy strains into our system, our bodies are able to start healing themselves, as well as strengthening our immune system. And this all leads to a better metabolic effect within the body's digestive system, making it a better fat-burning machine. In fact, some major companies are investing millions upon millions of dollars to come up with different strains of probiotics to help influence our weight, help us lose weight, and manage it even more effectively. And the most exciting new research findings is that probiotics are having a neuropsychological impact on the brain by improving symptoms such as depression and anxiety-like behaviors. Which leads us to 7 signs your gut is affecting your mental health. These are crucial. Make sure you write these down and do a self-check-in. You may want to go get a gut health test to get those real scientific results instead of just applying guesswork to work out what's going on in your system. The first sign is, of course, bloating. When the gut microbiota are overwhelmed by antibiotics, medicines, poor diet, and stress, gas and bloating are some of the first signs your bacteria is out of balance. Overpopulation of specific strains can cause your good bacteria to die off, causing them to give off gas. And we've all been through different times of our lives where we're a little bit gassier than what we'd like. So what you can do is, of course, incorporate whole plant foods as well as raw fermented foods like raw sauerkraut or kombucha to help refeed your good bacteria. Number 2, fatigue. Fatigue is a symptom that's most often overlooked when getting to the root problem of your gut health issues. And there's a particular strain of bacterium called Candida albicans which can be affecting this. When it becomes overpopulated in our gut, it can cause severe symptoms of fatigue as well as increased sugar cravings. We all have Candida in and over our bodies, but it's when it becomes overpopulated. This becomes a perfect storm for your body to spike in glucose and insulin, then crashing, requiring you to have more sugar for a quick energy fix, which you most likely crash immediately after as well, and you'll have symptoms of brain fog. Now you can go on a 30-day Candida diet, which helps to rid your body of simple sugars, but you also have to not just cut out sugar, you also have to cut out carbs. So it's very similar to a ketogenic diet in some aspects of it, but make sure you see a functional doctor to get a diagnosis before you go down that route. And second of all, if you do have an overgrowth of Candida, you may require to take a course of antifungals to help get rid of it. Going through that process, you may even have some symptoms of even more fatigue because you're dropping your carbs and sugar. You may also have die-off symptoms as the toxins released as the Candida dies off. To help with that, you can take some black charcoal tablets, but they have to be in your stomach at the time you're exhibiting those symptoms. So whatever's happening in your stomach, the toxins will actually bind to the charcoal. Just make sure you don't take them alongside medication because it's going to absorb the medication at the same time. But please speak to a functional doctor when you're talking about Candida in particular. Number 3, irritable bowel. Now, over 45 million people suffer from some degree of irritable bowel, which is exacerbated by the stress that can be caused in our daily lives. Now, there's no doubt that IBS symptoms can cause significant distress, not just at a biological level, but also it's related to mood disorders, anxiety, and other psychiatric conditions. There was a study of 100 IBS patients that found that more than 1/3 had considered suicide as a result of their symptoms. Research on probiotic bacteria for people with IBS centers on different strains of the species known as bifidobacterium and lactobacillus. Both are considered key to replenishing the gut with good bacteria and restoring a healthy balance to the microbiota. If you are suffering from IBS symptoms, they can be absolutely crippling. Please see a functional doctor. I speak about functional doctors a lot in my book and videos. They take a more holistic approach to the body and the brain and how everything connects together. They'll also spend more time with you to ensure that they actually work out the root cause of your symptoms instead of just treating the symptoms, but never really addressing the cause. Number 4, sleep disturbances. What we put in our gut can really affect the quality of sleep that we get. In recent studies, there's considerable evidence showing that the gut microbiome not only affects the digestive, metabolic, and immune functions, but also regulates sleep and mental states through the microbiome gut-brain axis. Inflammation, emotion, and physiological stress can also affect the composition of the gut microorganisms, causing an array of mental disorders to occur. Ensure your diet has healthy fiber, diverse plant-based foods, as well as probiotics to help strengthen your microbiota. Number 5, skin irritations. Inflammation in our gut causes an increased permeable intestinal wall, which can leak proteins that affect our skin, causing irritations to emerge such as acne, eczema, or rosacea. Now called the gut-skin axis, scientists are learning that overall gut health or disturbances reveals itself in the quality of our skin, which, if you've eaten something bad, you may have noticed that you immediately break out. Our skin is very much a direct reflection of our internal health. Number 6, autoimmune conditions. Although it's still in its infancy, studies are now indicating the relationship between intestinal autoimmune diseases such as Crohn's disease with an imbalance in the microbiota composition in the gut. Although science is still really learning about the diversity of the gut microbiome, if you're suffering from autoimmune condition and also have mental health issues, healing your gut with a professional would be absolutely paramount. Number 7, food sensitivity. This seems like such an obvious fix, however, it took me quite some time in taking a food sensitivity test to discover that my kryptonite is in fact something as innocuous as coconut or even dark chocolate. And yet it wasn't just causing gut issues, it was also causing significant behavior changes such as intense fatigue, depression, brain fog, and even aggression. And it would take 6 to 7 days after digesting those foods to start recovering. With a food sensitivity, there's an inflammatory response. And as we know, inflammation can hit the brain really quite hard. And science also now realizes that inflammation can also trigger behavior changes. In fact, there's been some research done where they found that inflammation can reduce motivation by impacting dopamine in the brain, which is why food sensitivity is a key topic that I harp on quite a lot, because it has one of the biggest impacts on all of those people that read the book and do the online challenge. So when it comes to food sensitivity, you can always do a food journal on a daily basis to keep track of what you're actually eating and see how your food and what your mood is like after that. And you can also take a food sensitivity test, which is going to give you an indication of those foods that you may have an intolerance to. From there, you can start to remove those foods, do an elimination diet, then reintroduce them back at a later stage, one at a time, spacing them out to see how much it really impacts you. So do not overlook how your food is not just impacting your gut health, but also your psychology. So there you have it. They're the 7 signs that your gut health might be impacting your mental health. If you want to do a gut health test, be sure to click the link below so you can find out more about it. The reason I like doing lab tests is you really take the guesswork out of the picture so you can start creating a plan that's based on science, not just theory. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe. Make sure you go out, if you haven't already, grab a copy of Unstoppable and get one of the last copies that's out there before we get another print run happening. By the way, there is the Unstoppable app, which is coming to Android as well as Apple. It's in the pipeline. It'll be coming out in the next week. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Until next time, have an incredible week. Be sure to leave a comment, and I hope to catch you at the Upgrade Labs conference in March. See you soon.